Let's talk briefly about disclosing when you use artificial intelligence to create content. Should you do this? Yes, and there's 3 reasons why. First, legality. While it's not required by law yet in most places, there's a trend headed in this direction, and the first market to require this will probably be the EU. The European Union passed the EU AI Act in committee late in 2023. Once it's ratified by member states, it will likely be the gold standard planet-wide, very similar to GDPR. Here's what the European Parliament said. For general purpose and generative AI, meaning things that are not high risk, generative AI, like ChatGPT, would have to comply with transparency requirements. Number 1, disclosing that the content made of it was generated by AI. Number 2, designing the model to prevent it from generating illegal content. And number 3, publishing summaries of copyrighted data used for training. It's pretty clear, at least from the way the EU has written this, that these obligations apply not only to the makers of AI models, but to the use of it as well. So not just the people who make systems, but the people who use systems like you and me. Disclosing the use of AI now gets ahead of the law and ensures that you're compliant, and then you don't have a massive amount of work to do in your back catalog once it does become law. As with GDPR, the EU AI Act applies to, well, any services used by citizens of the EU, regardless of whether you do business there or not. Right? So it applies to you. As long as you've got like EU visitors coming to your blog, it applies to you. Second, there are ethical considerations. You shouldn't claim work that you didn't actually do. For example, if you use AI to write a blog post, you didn't write the post. A generative AI did. So there's an ethical responsibility to be transparent so that your readers know what they're getting and who they're getting it from. Third, there are also legal reasons to disclose the use of generative AI. Now, a disclaimer. I'm not a lawyer, and this is not legal advice. Please consult a qualified attorney, human, to receive legal advice specific to your situation. In several court cases, like Naruto versus Slater and the Thaler case, at least in the USA, U.S. courts have ruled that AI-generated content cannot be copyrighted. Only human-created works can be protected by copyright. This is a case for a good chunk of the planet, but not all of it. So, if you use AI to create images, text, audio, video, etc., that content cannot be copyrighted because machine-created content is ineligible for copyright. However, if you have machines do outlines or sketches and then a human does the final output, as long as humans have generated the final output, then it can be protected by copyright. Here's why this matters. If you clearly disclose what content is AI generated versus human generated on your site, you're reiterating your copyright over the human parts. For example, say you made a blog post header image with AI, but wrote the blog post yourself. The image can't be copyrighted, but your text can. Now, suppose a competitor, maybe a less ethical competitor, just comes along and scrapes the entire blog post willy-nilly and copies it onto their blog. Because the image is machine generated, you have no legal recourse to prevent them from doing so, from using it. However, they likely assumed that because the image was AI made, so was the content, and in this example, that's not the case. If you carefully disclose that only the image is AI made, then you can assert your copyright over the human-made text and have your lawyer send them a cease and desist. That's why AI disclosure is so important, because by disclosing what is AI made, you're also protecting what is not AI made. This also applies to freelancers and agencies you hire. Make sure that they are disclosing any AI use in the work product you receive from them so that you don't then falsely claim to copyright on things that you can't claim copyright on. So, to recap, disclose the use of AI for 3 reasons. 1, it's going to be legally required soon. 2, it's ethically the right thing to do. And 3, it reiterates your copyright over the non-AI generated content that you publish. Disclosure and transparency can increase trust and reduce risk. So if you haven't already, start disclosing the use of AI in your content today. And if you have more questions about how to use AI in marketing, check out our Generative AI for Marketers course at trustinsights.ai/AI course. Talk to you soon.